Oh, it looks like I do have to play this chat.
Sigmar lied.
Sigmar lied! Ooh. Is it a game? Oh! Get him! No! Oh!
Sigmar told us we were chosen. Warriors, stolen from death,
Oh.
to be reforged as his weapons.
Oh, I bet it's for, Warhammer Plus, chat.
The immortal sons and daughters of the Storm God.
She's getting mad. I bet that'd be neat if the Stormcast Eternals actually turned on Sigmar. Ooh, that's what should happen. Ooh, doom. Doom, chat. Uh-oh. That's not good. Skaven are here. Stabby, stabby man thing. Ooh. I don't think that's gonna help my guy. Uh-oh. Ouch. Oh no, they're shooting him with their crack bullets. Uh-oh. Oh. Shooty, shooty man thing. Yes. No. Oh man, he killed the cool guy.
Sigmar lied. He never told us the true cost of this honor.
Uh-oh.
Soon, all that will remain of me is an echo, lost to the storm. But until that day, I fight.
That's pretty cool, chat. I'm not gonna lie. Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Pretty cool. Summer of 2024. AOS.
Yes, it's official. Warhammer Age of Sigmar's new edition is here and is coming very, very soon. I'm joined by Ben and Phil and Matt from the AOS studios to chat about all things Age of Sigmar. Guys, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks a lot.
First of all, let's jump straight in with that cinematic. I mean, come on, that thing is absolutely amazing. We were blown away by that. Let's talk about some of your top highlights from the cinematic trailer.
I mean, it was gobsmacking. The first time we saw it, we were like, what? It's just absolute tour de force. We've been working with these characters and these different factions for a while, but seeing them brought to life in that way, it just pitch perfect, really something.
Yeah, I love that they've worked so hard on that as well. You can tell that they're really bringing those sort of like miniatures to life. That bit where the Skaven comes sort of like rolling down that hill with the rattling gun is just absolutely amazing as well. So obviously this event is sort of huge in the cinematic trailer that we've just seen, but obviously it's just a small glimpse into the threat that the Mortal Realms are facing right now. So let's talk a little bit about the lore and sort of where we find ourselves in the narrative of Age of Sigmar. So whereabouts are we now?
The hour of ruin has dawned, right? It's a new era for Age of Sigmar. So we've just come out of the era of the beast, very destruction focused. Chaos strikes back. We've seen the Skaven enter play in a great cataclysm called the Vermin Doom. That was the big explosion with all the stuff rising out of the ground. That's an entire nation of Skaven. It's not just a small area. Has gate crashed the party. A full third of the Great Parch is now completely destroyed and replaced by Blight City, the Skaven otherworld. And they are pouring out of there in their billions. So the Stormcast Eternals and their mates better shore up those gaps pretty quickly, because that tide is coming and it's not stopping anytime soon.
Nice. So you chatted a little bit about the Skaven there and sort of how the mortal realms have sort of been reforged and stuff. So let's chat a little bit about the Skaven. What makes them so much more dangerous and so much more sort of horrifying in this new edition?
Well, we've seen the Skaven before. They're old friends, aren't they? We've all grown up with Skaven in a way. They're so Warhammer. What we're seeing now is not just a few of them creeping around in the sewers, but a real tidal wave of these things. And the horror of the Skaven really is coming through, as well as the humour, because of course there are a few beats of them running away and getting speared, and they're a giant rattling blaster for
the Claw Lord.
The Claw Lord just bailing.
No, it's not
There's still that sense of humour to the Skaven, and their kind of slightly charming cowardice. But we are also seeing the Skaven on their best day, which is pretty terrifying, with all the weird Frankensteinian monsters and technology and numbers, just plain numbers.
Yeah.
So there are, they're really coming as never before, and that's kind of fun to see them come out of the shadows like that.
Yeah, totally. And we can't talk about the Skaven without mentioning the Stormcast Eternals, obviously. So let's chat a little bit about the Hallowed Knights and the Ruination Chamber as well. Tell us about that.
Sigmar hit the big button, didn't he, and opened another chamber, the Ruination Chamber.
I want to know more about the Skaven. We need more Skaven, more rats.
Chamber, these guys, as we saw in the main character in the trailer, been reforged so many times. They're starting to lose that little bit of themselves, losing that thing that made them human, and they're turning into incredible warriors that can go into some of those really awful places in the mortal realm. So we saw that, didn't we? The regular Stormcaster there, and there's bits of their armour coming away because they can't quite get in there. But the guys from the Ruination Chamber, in they go. We are the guys to do that.
Yeah,
that's almost the benefit they get from their immortality is a curse. We've talked about this. It might seem like a blessing to be these big, strong heroes, and they've got all the kit, but really they're dying over and over again. That's not a good thing, and they're paying the price.
Oh, that was really one of my favorite things from the trailer. I think it's the first time we've, really been able to show that so clearly. Both the blessing of immortality, but as Phil said, the curse of the immortality, and the kind of character that we see throughout the trailer, seeing that journey, both of, becoming more veteran and becoming more elite and a stronger warrior, but then, losing that aspect of the humanity, and ultimately, near the end of that journey, becoming kind of so jaded, so having seen so many horrors and lived through so many horrors and so many deaths, that these are kind of some of the only people that can venture into this absolute horror.
Yeah.
I bet it would be neat if they actually turned on Sigmar. That's what I want. That's what I want, chat.
That's emerged across the mortal realms.
Let's chat a little bit about rules then as well. So what can players expect to experience with this new edition of Age of Sigmar?
This will be the biggest shift in rules since the introduction of Age of Sigmar. This is the first ground-up rewrite of the rule set for Age of Sigmar since the very first edition came out. We really had three major goals in mind when we were doing that.
Took it over your body, little man.
The first was opening up the game to more players than ever. Really trying to make sure that the game was easy to learn, easy for new players to get into, yet retaining the tactical depth that makes it really difficult to master, where you could spend years and years playing and gaining that skill and that skill expression. The second thing was building on the interactivity in third edition, with more reactive commands and more opportunities for counterplay in your opponent's turn. And all of that kind of comes together in these really nail-biting finishes, these really closely fought battles, where every game can be exciting and tense. And this is such a big shift for the rules, such a big update, that not only have we done a major update to all the core rules, but also every faction will be getting brand new rules for this edition.
Okay, yeah.
So there's lots and lots of exciting things to look forward to coming up soon.
Yeah. So you guys were obviously heavily involved in the development of the new edition. One thing that I really, really want to know is what got yourselves and some of the playtesters most excited about this new edition?
There's a lot to chew over.
Yeah.
So the bit for me that I really love, I think it's a small change but it has huge impacts, is combat range. So weapon ranges have gone away. So for melee, and everything now runs off combat range, so a 3-inch range, and that works for things like claiming objectives, how characters can interact with other units, how benefits can be applied, and then also in combat. And it just makes that combat phase so much slicker, so much quicker.
I have no idea what he's talking about, chat. I don't play Age of Sigmar, but if you do, simplify it for me, because I'm a big dum-dum.
To play than it ever has before.
Yeah.
For me, I think you touched on it there, is that it is slicker, it's easier to play. And I'm big into telling a story on the battlefield and seeing, having those games which you talk about 10 years later.
Yeah.
And having the rules almost get out of the way to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the way we've made these rules, they're so accessible and easy to use, we'll come to that in a minute, that it just is far easier to see the ebb and flow of the battle and to do cool stuff on the battlefield.
Yeah.
It's really good fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really been kind of learning from all of the editions in the past. Through that work of making it more accessible, what we're really doing is trying to make it more elegant as a rule set, looking for opportunities to really merge down without losing any of that tactical depth and any of that skill expression that comes with it.
And the flavour and the lore that comes through in these war scrolls and on the battlefield.
I think you've said before, Matt, as well, we've got almost a decade's worth of knowledge now and feedback from players all over the world to be able to put into that.
Well, and just our own lived experiences, the amount of the games that we've played, and we all love the game and love the system. So this is.
I really don't like that, the lived experience thing. Usually that's used for something else. Gross. It's just a gross word.
It's really a culmination of that, and I couldn't be more excited to get it into players' hands.
That's great. So let's talk Spearhead as well, because this is a brand new way for players to play Age of Sigmar. Talk to us about that. What tell us everything about Spearhead that we need to know.
Gosh, everything. So Spearhead, it comes in the launch box. So everything you need to play Spearhead, the models, the board, the terrain, the cards, the rules for every faction as well are all included in the box. So you can play it straight out of the box on day one.
As you said, a brand new way to play the game. It's a small format game. It uses a lot of brand new mechanics people haven't seen before. There's really compelling card mechanics for tactics and commands. And it's just, a really, really exciting, really fast and furious, and very balanced way to play the game.
That speed is what's taken.
So from what it sounds like, the new edition is going to be using a smaller model numbers. God, I can't speak. So less models, faster gameplay. I don't know, man. It might be good. Or maybe they could have made this into like a different game, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, I don't play Age of Sigmar, so we'll have to see what the Age of Sigmar people actually say about it.
Taking the studio by storm, isn't it?
Yeah.
The amount of games that are played, because you can play it in an hour, play it at lunchtime really easily.
But there's still all that tactical depth. It really feels like you're still playing a big war game. You're playing Warhammer, but it's a lot easier to do. Yeah. And each of the spearheads has been really well balanced against the other. Even if it looks like you might have the advantage, so Indrasta's spearhead, Indrasta being a very powerful champion of Sigmar and her elite Stormcast Eternals, the real punch of that spearhead doesn't show up till halfway through the game. That gives a kind of inbuilt narrative to the game. So you've got this scenario where your normal Stormcaster trying to hold the line and hold back the enemy, and then pow, straight halfway through the battle, in comes Indrasta and her Annihilators to swing it back. So there's like an inbuilt story to that. There are choices you can make, so you can still give your guys different command traits or artifacts. You can give your army different ways to fight. And of course, the board is double-sided, so you've got Akshi side on one side, if you want to fight in Akshi, fire and passion. On the other side is Gairan, which is much more lush vegetation, healing, and the cycle of life. And the cards that you pick up every turn will give you different objectives. Go there, kill that, get your dudes over that side. So there is an extremely large amount of ramifications of games you can play with Spearhead.
It must be so great for sort of experienced players to be able to get games in really quick, but also players that might be new to kind of AOS being able to pick that up, and also great for like the tournament scene as well. If you can play X amount of games in a certain amount of time, that must be great.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Early on in the development of Spearhead, we brought in a group of kind of veteran playtesters. It ended up turning into effectively a tournament over the weekend where they all got really, really into it and really competitive. And so this is something that we've seen really resonate with players, and people gain a lot of excitement for it.
I think what's been fun from like an experienced player is picking up any Spearhead, and just because there's so few rules around their battle traits and there's so few war scrolls involved, that you can just pick it up and play a game and not feel like you're missing out on anything. So there's quite a lot of times when we go into the playtest room to play a game, we go, what are we going to play with? You know, I've not played with the Glimpse Like Gits for a while, so you take those off the shelf and you can have a game. And again, it's still around about an hour, even with something that you've not played for a while.
You're just working your way through them. Yeah, that's great. Let's chat a little bit about faction packs as well, because I know you mentioned this earlier, Matt. You've used this new edition as a really good opportunity to sort of update and rebalance and rewrite all of the units for the armies in Age of Sigmar. So let's chat about that a little bit.
Because there's such kind of sweeping changes throughout the rule set, it was really the perfect opportunity to go back and revisit.
Sorry, Chad. I'm just trying to soak all this in because I can't tell if what they're doing is good or bad, or I don't know what they're trying to do. Like, I get they're trying to streamline the game and make it easier to play, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I don't know. It might be too much. It might be too much.
Factions. We had some playtest games early on and some conversations early on where, you know, it was a big kind of learning point for us that, you know, the game could never be, would never be less complex than the most complex faction, because you might either be playing with that faction or against that faction. And so, you know, a lot of that same approach to streamlining and really trying to focus in on the most impactful rules, the most characterful rules, but removing a lot of the other detail that maybe you had to manage before. So a really good example is the reintroduction of a limited set of universal special rules. So things like champions or standard bearers, musicians, you know, some weapon abilities. You know, now instead of needing a full rule on each war scroll to explain how this works, you can just say champion, and everyone knows how that works, and it, you know, that part becomes really, really clean, really easy to do. So it makes each war scroll much faster to read, much easier to use. Every single war scroll fits on a single-sided card with all of the information, kind of no matter how big the character, how powerful the character.
We've also done quite a lot of work on stats and characteristics as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So an awful lot of time spent in our playtest room lining models up, putting them in categories. How many wounds should this unit of cavalry have? How many wounds should this one have? So that it makes a lot more sense visually when you just look at the battlefield and you can see, well, what sort of armor save, what sort of move.
I see what they're kind of, like, again, I see what they're trying to do, but at the same time, I feel like that's going to take away some of the special flair and uniqueness of some of the factions if you just kind of shrink down all the stuff so everything's just kind of similar. I don't know. It leaves a little bit of a funny taste in my mouth, but we'll have to trust these guys. I don't know. Again, I don't play Age of Sigmar, but I know they've tried to do this with Warhammer 40k and it didn't really work too well.
Movement should this unit have? What health should this unit have? So it's all a lot more consistent now.
I think one of my favourite parts of that is that the colour coding system, quite visual. We like to look at the battlefield and look at our war scrolls and our books, and each ability has a colour to go with it to tell you what phase you use that ability in. So you're not having to go through all of your rules all the time. You just
we've all played that game where we've forgotten one, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly.
I could have done that. Yeah.
And that's just really easy way to pass the rules and to know what you can do at certain times.
We've really tried to look from a lore perspective, from a miniatures perspective, from a rules perspective. One of our main tenets of the game is that the rules reflect the mortal realms, right? And so we think the game works best when all three of those things are working in concert, where it feels intuitive to players. And so this is really the first time we've been able to go back and really differentiate the different races, the different units, the different factions, and give them much more of an identity through the characteristics.
So these War Scrolls, they'll be free to access on launch, right?
Yeah, that's right. So there's digital versions of them available at launch, and there's also card versions of them as well, so you can have them laid out in game.
I do like that. More stuff needs to be free, especially in Warhammer 40k. The rules should be... I think the rules should always be free and updated and be free, but if you want like the special edition stuff, you can buy that. I think that'd work, because you're still going to have collectors that are going to want to buy the special edition books. But also, it just would work out. It'd be a win-win. You know what I mean? Because if you're new to it and you don't really know, if you want to spend a whole lot of money, you could borrow a friend's army, and you could have the rules for free. And if you really, really like it, then maybe you could invest in it and get your own army and things like that. But that's just my 2 cents. It's just my 2 cents. This was going on way longer than what I thought it was. Whoop.
Gaming table.
Also, we've got updated rules for all of the armies of renown, regiments of renown, content from the Dawnbringer series that you've been playing through, all updated for the new edition.
Everybody gets something new and cool to look through.
Yes.
Hopefully it will inspire you to telling great stories on the battlefield and having a lot of games of Age of Sigmar. So yeah, hope you will enjoy it.
Great, thank you so much. Well, Ben, Phil, Matt, thank you so much for joining us and coming into the studio to chat a little bit about Age of Sigmar. We cannot wait for it.
No worries.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Well, that's all we've got time for. What a show and what a series of announcements. Thank you to Adepticon for having us, and thank you to you for being with us. We hope you've enjoyed it just as much as we have. Remember, you can head to the Warhammer community website if you'd like to find out more about any of the upcoming releases. And don't forget to follow us on all our socials to keep up to date with all the latest news. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on the Warhammer Preview Show.
Thanks for watching. That was different than what I'm used to. I don't know how I feel about it, because I'm gonna be honest. I kind of worried about how much they want to take out and cut back in Age of Sigmar, because I don't want them doing that type of stuff in Warhammer 40k. I'm already worried about them saying that you can play any Space Marine chapter like any other chapter. Again, if you make something for everybody, it's going to be... If you make something for everyone, then it ends up being for nobody. And the Space Marine chapters are supposed to have their own uniqueness to them, because they're not all meant to do the same thing. They're meant to have their specialties that they're really good at, and that's what they excel in. And I have a feeling they're going to be doing that or it sounds like they've already done that in Age of Sigmar. So I don't know about that. I'm kind of curious about the old world too. That's something I was interested in, but then once I heard they weren't going to bring out all the factions, my interest in that game died down quite a bit. I'm sorry if I wasn't really talking that last bit. They were just kind of rattling on stuff, and I was trying to absorb what they were trying to say and what they were trying to do meant with the game. In a game I don't play, so I was just kind of like, I don't understand. My brain is small. But I'm going to have some videos that are going to be content ID claimed, which stinks, but it is what it is. Thank you everybody for joining me. I'm not too sure how I actually feel about this one this time. It's a mixed bag, that's for sure. If you were disappointed, let me know in the comments. If you were super excited about anything, let me know in the comments or here in the chat. But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. We were going on 2 hours. This one was way longer than what I thought it was going to be. Usually, like I said, it's two guys talking, and they ask everybody where everybody's from, and then after that they get into the meat and potatoes and they show off stuff. And this was different. This was very, very different. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dreadbird. You can find me in the pinned comments. That's where all my stuff is at. I have a Twitter. I have a Twitch. I have this Twitch channel right there. And I have a YouTube channel. And I do have a Rumble channel. The Rumble channel is a backup channel. March of last year, March 2nd to be exact, of last year, I had some poo heads try to take down my channel because I stuck up for somebody who was being bullied for playing a video game and who was very much not a political person and got sucked into something. And it was a dogpiling event that was very, very stupid. Very, very stupid. It should not have happened, but there are people who are online all the time and have no lives, and they feel like they must do something to be a part of something, so they look for people that are having fun and they want to ruin their day. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, enough of my rambling on. My name is Dreadbread, Dread of Bread, and I will see you all later. I have no idea how I'm going to make shorts out of this, but I will see you later. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Have a good day. And I'll see you later. Bye. Whoops, wrong button.